All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the SoxProspects.com podcast. We are the web's number one source for information on the Boston Red Sox farm system from top to bottom, from Fort Myers to Pawtucket, and all stops in between. And I guess if we're talking about stops in between, I guess there's on ramps as well because it's the draft. Thanks for the listen. My name is Chris Hatfield. I'm the executive editor of Sox Prospects. I'm joined as always by our director of scouting, Ian Kundle. We brought back the intro music last episode, but we're gonna eschew it for an episode here because we're just going to record a really quick one. It's like 1:45, and I really want to go
Sox
to bed.
Prospects After Dark.
Sox Prospects After Dark. I really want to go to bed.
Yeah, me too.
My in-laws are here. I'm tired. That draft took forever, especially considering they didn't
It
pick
was
until
brutal.
43.
I mean, it wasn't just the late pick. Like, I don't know what they're doing with it's going to start at 8 o'clock and it started at like 8:20. And then 5 minutes per pick turned into, it was no way it was 5 minutes per pick. Like, I understand you want to try and make the first round of viewing experience, but the way they're doing it right now just isn't working.
Yeah. And I love how how most of the major league teams don't play games, but like a couple do.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah, I was like,
but why? Either just give everyone the night off or don't. Like,
yeah, it's just, I mean, I think
weird.
Scott Boras had some quotes today about how they need to fix the draft process, not just like the draft itself, but the whole way they market it and everything. And he's not wrong.
well, at any rate, no one wants to hear about that. We want to hear about the new guys. Hear about the Red Sox selections and with their, as we animatedly discussed last episode, Ian, with their first pick at number 43 overall, which was in the second round, but it was their first round pick. The Red Sox selected infielder.
It was announced as a first round pick.
Was it? Interesting.
Yes, it is considered a first round pick still.
They selected shortstop Cameron Cannon out of the University of Arizona. And then with their second round pick, the Red Sox selected another shortstop, Matthew Lugo out of Carlos Beltran Baseball Academy in Puerto Rico. Couple interesting picks, Ian. I'm just going to yawn on this podcast and not even feel bad about it. It's late. Couple interesting picks. I like it. Really quick, let's give a shout out to our $5 level Patreon supporters. By the way, guys, since this is a quick one, we're not going to charge for this one. This one's a freebie. But we want to thank our $5 level supporters, Sock Signatures, Kirby Miller, Kyle Costigan, Tyler Woodrow, Tim Ware, Jeff Trainer, David Nardone, Tim Harding, Bill Stanton, Deb Kendall, Evan Kirkwood, Hurricanes 1, Chris Fox, James O'Hara, Nathan Kenyon, Andrew Wallen, Lendl Martin, Pat from New Hampshire, Ben Burnett, and David B. Finally, send your emails to podcast at SoxProspects.com. We want to talk about what you want to hear about. It's a draft, Ian. We'll talk really quick about the promotion of Jarren Duran today as well as one guy we forgot to mention last week when we were talking about guys who might be promoted very soon. So we'll get to all those really quick. But first, what everyone wants to hear about, Ian, we talk about that we want to talk about what people want to hear about. I think what they want to hear about are the new guys, right? So with the first pick, the Red Sox selected University of Arizona shortstop. All right, where's this thread?
Cameron Cannon.
Cameron Cannon, who I'm almost certainly going to call Constantine Cannon because that's a pretty big law firm. Cannon ranked 94th overall by Baseball America, 73rd by Perfect Game, 87th by Keith Lock, 48th by Fangraphs, and 79th by MLB Pipeline. Ian, what are you seeing kind of as the consensus on Cameron Cannon?
Well, I think the first thing is they announced him as a shortstop, but after reading just some scouting reports, it doesn't seem like anyone who's seen him thinks he can stick at shortstop. It seems like it's either going to be second base or third base, and either way, he's more of like an offensive-minded player there. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, he looks a little undersized. I think he's listed at like 5'10", 195 pounds, 196 pounds. But, I mean, he's raked in Arizona. And as we've seen, Arizona hitters, one of them is doing very well with the Red Sox right now, Bobby Dahlbeck. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he's not a great defender. I think it was 18 errors as of May, early May this year. So, yeah. So, defensively, who knows? TBD. Infielder, obviously, but the bat seems to be the carrying tools and what they're kind of banking on. And he seems like a guy that, if he makes enough contact, and he's got a little pop, and maybe the pop will play up as he gets up in the system, as we've kind of talked about over the last couple episodes with the new ball. then maybe he can turn into something there. But I think that the bigger takeaway based on kind of what they did, you have to look at it with the context of their next pick. And well, this pick seemed like a little bit of a reach because they took a guy, a lot of people had in this. I think the high was 73, or sorry, other than Fangraphs who had him at 48.
Yeah,
but he was in his 70s to 80s. Yeah,
it's funny because Fangraphs write up is probably the most tepid of the ones I've seen.
Really interesting. Yeah. So, but anyway, so they took a guy, who a lot of people had ranked in maybe the late second, early third round. With their first round pick, but then they got another guy with their next pick who, some Fangraphs, I believe, again, had him, as a potential first round talent, their 26th overall player. And I think MLB had him pretty high up in their list too.
Yeah. So well, I could just give you the list of, if you're going there.
Well, no, I was just going to say, if you flip the picks, it makes a little more sense.
Yeah. Well, let's see. BA, he didn't put it for BA. Hang on.
I tweeted it if you have Twitter open.
I want to Lugo. All right, yeah. BA had him 74th. Keith Law this is Matthew Lugo, the shortstop out of Puerto Rico. BA had him 74th. Keith Law had him 46th. Fangraphs had him 26th. Perfect Game had him 50th. MLB Pipeline had him 38th. So, across the board, ranked higher.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. Although it's kind of funny, BA publishes, stats for guys. Mm-hmm. And their stats for Lugo are so weird.
He went to the Carlos Beltran Academy, which we should mention.
But they have him with 19 at bats this season, which can't be right.
No. But he was. The Red Sox are obviously familiar with that. They've drafted a couple guys who had attended there or out of there with Joseph Monhe and Jeremy Rivera, and I think there was
Joseph Monhe. Yeah.
Joseph, sorry. And I think there was one more. I just couldn't find it. And I was rushing.
I looked up who those two scouts who drafted these guys had signed. So the scout for Arizona, if I can find that tweet, is I think Vaughn Williams. Vaughn Williams, and he's drafted Bobby Dahlbeck and Rio Gomez, obviously both out of the University of Arizona, as well as shortstop Jeremy Rivera and infielder Chad De La Guerra. So it seems almost like there's an infielder specialty there. But the Puerto Rico scout for the Red Sox is Edgar Perez.
Yep.
His most notable signee is Christian Vasquez.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also signed, of course, all the guys out of Puerto Rico: Andre Colon, Alan Marrero, Joseph Monhe, Gregorio Reyes, and Alberto Schmidt. Are the guys he's listed as having signed in the media guide.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, well, no, and I think I forgot with Lugo, we should mention that he's also Carlos Beltran's nephew, I believe.
He is his nephew.
So there's some lineage there. And, just with the Lugo pick, it's an exciting pick. He's someone who they showed the video on the MLB draft thing because they actually had video of him. Mm-hmm. And, he seems like a projectable guy. He's listed at 6'1", 180 pounds. Scouting reports I read said he's got some power. He's just a very toolsy athletic player, run a little bit, might have to move up shortstop, but he could hit for power, and seems like a kind of a nice upside play, especially given the limitations they're working under this year. As someone who maybe felt them and they're going to have to move some money around to get, but if they can get him signed in the system, he's definitely one of the more interesting guys they're going to have in the low minors. Yeah,
just to recap the notes from the call with Mike Rickard, which I unfortunately missed due to difficulties with technology. Apparently, it sounds like Cannon's going to get a chance to stay at short, but they value his versatility. Quote, he's a very good hitter. We like his swing path. He does things as far as controlling the strike zone and limiting his strikeouts that we value. He's got good power now, and we think there may be more. The power comment doesn't square with anything I read. I don't know if that's what you got, Ian. Just it sounds like quite the opposite was what I read, but that he doesn't really use his lower half. So it seems like to me a guy they might take thinking, hey, we make this small tweak. If he taps some power, that's a good value pick at 43.
Well, he had 8 home runs this year, which, given the college bats are brutal, is not terrible. He had 32 doubles and triples combined. So we're getting a guy had 40 extra base hits, and it seems like as I said,
doubles pop.
Right, but I think, maybe he's one of the guys that they project that they know how the new ball is going to work, and he's someone who might, if he hits the ball really hard and has some loft in his swing, that can translate to more power than might be showing right now.
Mm-hmm. And then on as far as Lugo, they feel he's going to stay in the middle of the field. He's a very talented young player. He's got really good tools. He has a chance to stay in the middle of the field for sure. Power potential. And has speed to push the game a little bit. On Lugo's relationship with Uncle Carlos Beltran, I think they're close, obviously. It's always nice when there's some lineage there. You always like for the players in the off-season to know they're in good hands. So that's the comments on those two guys. So pretty interesting. For me, looking at the guys, it's kind of funny. One poster on our forum for Cannon mentioned he seems like a rich man's Brett Netzer. I thought that was kind of interesting because that's kind of where I went. Because you look at let's see, like the BA write-up. I'm not going to read these, but good arm, overall instincts at third base, shows enough range to move around the diamond if necessary. I think it was the Cannon played mostly third base on the Cape and played short and second for Arizona.
I was going to mention that he fits kind of the archetype of the Red Sox, as we've talked about in the past. They love their Cape Cod League guys.
Yeah, they do. Perfect game, intriguing as an offensive-minded second baseman, and I think I heard Jonathan Mayo saying that on the MLB.com broadcast. Scouts unanimous in their praise for his bat-to-ball ability. Upside of a plus hit tool, power is more gap to gap, but consistently hits the ball hard and gets it up into the gaps. While he's not likely to be a prodigious home run hitter, he's expected to hit a lot of doubles. Fringy defender at second, value tied to bat. But hey, the Red Sox have Michael Chavis playing second base for them right now. So, as we've talked about in earlier episodes of the podcast, Ian, defense at second really not what he used to be. Let's see, Keith Law, upside of an above-average regular or multi-position guy. Fangraphs, infielder with approach and strong bat-to-ball skills. Swing change candidate, otherwise unlikely to hit for power. So let's see, an MLB pipeline, they throw a 55 on the hit, 45 on the power, 50s for everything else. Seems a bit aggressive for a guy who went to 40, it's up to 43, but... grinder, controls the strike zone well, gap power, has played both middle and field positions for Arizona and spent most of his Cape summer at third base. Reliable hands, best suited for second because of average arm, is a bit stretched on the left side. So, yeah, it's not exciting, but that's, their first pick was at 43.
I don't know what you're expecting.
Yeah. On Lugo, he was committed to Miami, so he was committed to the U. Let's see, offensive upside, above average arm strength, quick footwork. At Perfect Games Jupiter Showcase last fall, roped a double to center that left the bat at 97. Swing can get long. You're going to need to be patient with him. Sounds like he might be raw.
Lugo's going to take a while to develop.
He's going to go to the GCL, right?
Yeah, he'll go to the GCL. And Cannon will go to Lowell, obviously, but Lugo's going to be like GCL and then, maybe probably extend it next year. Like, he's someone who's going to take some time.
Yeah, Fangraphs, projectable, well-rounded shortstop who is young for the class. He's a May 9th, 2001 birthday. So he just turned 18. And to emerge last summer as the top prospect from Puerto Rico, has done nothing except build on that. This is a perfect game. Easy plus runner capable of sub 6.5, 60 times. Gap power from the right side. MLB pipeline, 55 hit, 50 power, 50 run, 50 arm, 50 field. But again, that seems kind of aggressive. See, mixed reviews defensively. Some see him move to third or second, depending on their backward profile. So we'll see on how these go. Like you said, Lugo to the GCL playing shortstop seems pretty obvious. I'm very interested to see what happens in this Lowell infield because as of right now at least. At third base, you have Danny Diaz and Nick Northcutt. At shortstop, you have Anthony Flores and Cannon. I mean,
they say he's going to play shortstop right now. They're going to do what they always do, where he's going to play some shortstop. I'm sure he'll play some second base.
Diaz, two of them will split.
Yeah, Diaz is already playing first base. Like Lowell, they don't play him every day anyway. Like even the top guys only play 4 or 5 days of the week if they're playing 7 games. So I'm not too worried about that. Between DH and those positions, they're just going to rotate guys through. It's not great for me trying to see them, but that's what they're going to do.
I also do kind of wonder if there's a plan to bump someone up to Greenville. I mean, we don't. It'll be interesting to see play out. I'm just kind of thinking it through.
But yeah. But I'm not too worried about the player thing, and it just makes Lowell more interesting, which is nice. But yeah, it's going to be. I'm interested. The thing I'm going to be watching tomorrow is, do they go underslot at any of the other picks? Because if they do there, then that signals that the Lugo bonus is going to be pretty substantial. If not, maybe the Cannon just moving. Let's say he gets like 1-2 or 1-4, like that could be enough to get Lugo also.
Well, do you have the slots handy?
Yeah, Cannon's is 1729 and Lugo's is 929. And so I could see them both getting, frankly, like 1-3 or something.
Yeah, 1-3 or 1-5 or something.
Yeah, like those two, like adding up to the total slot of their 2 picks, just maybe reversed in some, degree. So yeah, overall, I'm given what the limitations there with getting a guy like Lugo is pretty exciting. And Cannon, seems like kind of like a more of a higher floor, lower ceiling guy. But again, that's the game you have to play if you want to, when you're playing the draft, you're not necessarily going to take the best player available at every pick. And I think we give a shout out to, I think Mike nailed the first pick. I think he nailed Lugo. Pick. Yeah, I think he said it. I was trying to find the preview article.
I'll find it right now.
But I'm pretty sure, he had Lugo as in the second round, he listed Lugo as one of the 5 guys he would target there.
Like the actual second round pick he got taken at.
Yeah.
And like Josh Smith, who's also in there, got picked like 2 spots ahead of him.
Right. So
I noticed because he's another freaking Josh Smith. But
yeah, I was not.
Mike's good at this, man.
He knows. We've been doing it for long enough that you kind of figure out who they like. But so shout out Mike Andrews in his very busy week for him.
Nailing he's dying
that
right now.
Yeah, he also had a very good line about how Michigan alum Tommy Henry would be Michigan alums Ian Kundal's favorite prospect out of the gate. That is also a true statement. I was quite happy to see him get drafted along with another Michigan Wolverine.
Well, Michigan won their regional tonight.
I was just about to get there. They did. It was a great win, especially after yesterday's bullpen disaster. So, it's pretty good day for Michigan baseball, pretty good day for the Red Sox. And, we move forward because it's not just the draft that happened today. Also, the guy that we just moved way up in the rankings, as we discussed in the last podcast, got a promotion, which was kind of expected. It was the June 1 promotion, which we've seen with a few guys.
Let's just actually say that it's Jarren Duran.
Yeah.
Which you hadn't done yet. But Jarren Duran's
called
up.
A tease.
We're about to talk about it. Why tease it?
I know.
There's really not a whole lot to talk about, Ian, because we got into it pretty extensively last time. I'm excited to see him hit against Eastern League pitching.
I think
it's Eastern League Parks.
It just will deserve to be mentioned. And it just makes Portland a little more interesting. And another step for him, it's someone who, if he hits really well, I wouldn't be surprised to see him just say screw it and push him all the way up to Pawtucket anyway, because, he's raked. He just keeps raking. So give him a couple months there, see what happens. And just as you said, I'm interested to see what if he's finally tested, because
obviously
he's 400 at bats into his minor league career, and he still has yet to barely be challenged. So that's
it's pretty funny because he actually was slumping in Salem. He'd come down to like a 380 something line.
389. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, is that on our site?
Yeah.
I
believe that's it. Also, though, I was looking at his.
It was like 387 or something. I think.
Might include
it's 387. I think there's our stats page is being a little glitchy right now.
Yeah, it's 387. You're right. But he's got 4 home runs. Granted, I think one of those was an inside the park home run recently. So he got a couple home runs in the past week. But yeah, you're right. He had a couple of 0 for 4s in a row. But then he had a 1 for 3 with a walk. So It's going to be interesting to see, and it's nice, it'll really help for rankings purposes getting a look at him and Dahlbeck on the same team. So that'll be easier.
And just to kind of get to the question of, well, who's next? I know we mentioned a bunch of guys last episode, Ian, but I legit held on to the last episode a few days longer than I otherwise would have because I thought we might have had a chance to make an addition because we both realized we forgot Thaddeus Ward.
Yeah, I think he's the pitcher who is most likely to get promoted as soon as I would not be surprised if it's this week or whatever his next start is, because he's a college guy in Greenville and he's absolutely dominating, and there's just no point in having him there anymore. And it's not just, the numbers are insane. 62 innings, 71 strikeouts.
62 and a third, yeah.
Yeah. Only given up 42 hits in those 62 innings, 21 walks, only 2 home runs allowed. And, obviously when you have a college guy in Greenville, you got to be a little wary of is maybe he's just like a command and control guy. But just having heard from people who've seen Ward live over the past couple of weeks, this is legit. I mean, he's definitely someone to watch. And, he hasn't been getting as much press as some of the other guys in the Greenville rotation like Scherf and Bello, but he's right up there with them. And, we
know they're excited about him internally too.
Right. And he's added a new pitch this year. He's throwing a cutter now. So it's going to be interesting to see how he gets on if he gets promoted to Salem. And if it doesn't happen soon, I bet it will be as soon as the All-Star break happened, whenever that is. So, yeah.
He strikes me as, at this point, maybe a potential All-Star break promotion.
Right.
Because at this point, it seems like with the college pitchers, they either do it early or they do it at the break. As opposed to the June 1 is just kind of the, okay, you were being challenged and you still dominated Duran type promotion.
Yep.
So that'll be interesting. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. I got to put this online. New players. Do we want to take stabs without having to be held to it about where these guys fall in the rankings or no?
Yeah, people love that. Let's do it.
All right. So I rank Lugo higher.
Oh, absolutely. Lugo
probably like 17-ish.
Oh, I'm higher than you.
Really?
Yeah,
I
was
put him
above
Gilberto.
I was going to say like 11 to 14, 15 range, like that range. Like Lugo, Gilberto, maybe. Danny Diaz, Decker, like all those guys are in extended already, so he's not that far behind them. And if he has a chance to stay up the middle, I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right, yeah, so maybe throw him. Okay, so maybe he goes somewhere up
I think he's somewhere in like the 10 to 15 range for me.
Yeah, and then Cannon, I probably go with like 18, 17.
Yeah, he's in the top 20. Like, yeah, 17.
For sure. In this top 20, yeah.
Yeah, 17, no 18 area. Probably, like back half of the top of 15 to 20 area. So,
yeah.
Yep. I think that's...
Yeah, so, and I think you're right. I think Lugo's probably pushing for the top 10, but probably high, up in that 11, 12, 13 range.
Right. Like, I think that's pretty, because obviously, the guys there, as I said, a lot of them haven't even played this year. Howlett's had a slow start and is coming around slowly. So,
Yep. Cool.
We shall see.
Beautiful.
I mean, that's all assuming they sign them, of course. We should put the caveat there, just in case.
Yeah, they probably do. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. It is a little longer than we meant to go, and it's late as hell, so we're going to sign off and get this online. Thank you all for listening. Again, podcast at SoxProspects.com. Make sure you're following along. Everything draft-related at SoxProspects, at SoxProspects, actually, literally, on Twitter. You can follow Ian at Ian Cundall. That's IANCUNDALL. You can follow me at SPChrisHatfield. Make sure you're following along with the news page, news.soxprospects.com. We're going to have posts about each of the picks as they happened. I just realized I have a lunch meeting tomorrow, so it's going to be interesting to get out of that and see what craziness has gone down. But
yeah, because the picks come fast starting the next 2 days.
They'll be coming fast and furious. So
so just follow our socials. We'll be tweeting out all the picks and just relevant info, and I'll try to chime in when I can, and I'm sure you guys will too. So, yeah.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks to Podcast Joe, even though he's not doing jack on this one. He's a big help on all the other ones. And, thank you, everybody.